Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, Legal Resources, available at the New Jersey State Library. My name is Andrew Daphne, and I'm the Instruction and Outreach Librarian here at the library. I will be facilitating this webinar, so any questions or issues you have, you can contact me at my email, or please use the chat or the questions feature in your menu bar. We will be taking questions and we will answer them at the end of the presentation, so feel free to ask your question at any time. I would also like to direct your attention to the handout that is available in the menu as well. It is a copy of today's presentation, so I encourage you to download that so you can follow along. If you, for any reason, cannot see the menu, check the top right or left-hand corner of your screen for an orange arrow. The menu may have been collapsed. Once you hit on that arrow, then it'll pop open the menu and you'll see all the features that are available for you. There will be a survey after this that we encourage you to fill out. We take the feedback very seriously, and we're always looking to improve anything that we are going on here at the New Jersey State Library. And then lastly, I would like to introduce Cynthia Lambert, our law librarian, who will be conducting this webinar. Her contact information is on the welcome slide here, so please reach out to her for any questions that you have. And one final thing as a disclaimer, our library staff cannot give out legal advice. So unfortunately, if you have a specific legal question that you're looking for some clarity on or which direction to go on, you should seek legal counsel for that. If you need help finding a representative, then we will be happy to point you in the right direction. So without further ado, I'm going to hand this over to Cynthia.
Thanks, Andrew. Hi, everyone, and welcome. Thank you so much for spending your lunch hour with us today. I know it's an exciting topic, legal resources, so to give up a lunch for it is really great. So again, thank you. As Andrew said, my name is Cynthia Lambert, and I am a law librarian here at the New Jersey State Library. I will be introducing you to the variety and scope of resources that are available in the law department here at the New Jersey State Library. A little bit of housekeeping. As Andrew said, please feel free to ask your questions throughout the presentation as they come to you. You can do that via typing in the chat service. And we will answer all of the questions at the end. That will make sure that we don't get off track because we have a great deal of information to cover today. So let's get started here. First off, let's talk about what we're going to be doing. I'm going to give a brief history of the New Jersey State Library, and I promise it really will be very brief. And then we will talk about what we in the law department do, what we in the law department do not do, and then we'll jump into the meat of the presentation, which is what's available, what resources we have here that we can help you with, that we can provide to you, or that you can come in and utilize on your own. And then at the end, we'll wrap it up with some Q&A. So let's get started. One other quick note, while we will be talking about a lot of legal resources, the focus will be on New Jersey legal resources, as that is our primary mandate. We do have some federal resources available. I'll discuss those briefly at the end. So here we go. History of the New Jersey State Library. The library dates its official start at 1796, when the legislature assigned responsibility for its collection of books to the clerk of the House. However, the collection of materials relating to New Jersey legal resources began as far back as 1704, when the first set of New Jersey session laws were published. Since then, the mandate to focus on New Jersey legal materials has continued, and the overall mandate for the New Jersey State Library has expanded greatly. There is the Office of the State Librarian, headed up by Mary Shute. There is the State Library and Information Center. That is the section of the library that I refer to as sort of the retail branch, and the law department is part of that. We are the general reference and the legal reference sections, and you can come in and talk to a person and look at our collections and things like that. That's why I call it the retail branch. There is also the Talking Book and Braille Center, which is located at a different location. However, it is part of the New Jersey State Library. Then we have Lifelong Learning Initiative. That is part of what this webinar is about, as well as any number of training opportunities that the State Library provides. We participate in innovative and strategic partnerships with other parts of the New Jersey government, as well as with other organizations throughout the state. And we provide library support services to all of the libraries in the state of New Jersey. We, in the law department, as I said, is part of the State Library and Information System Center, and we serve the New Jersey legislature, the judiciary, the executive branch, New Jersey state employees, law firms, and lawyers come to see us, as well as the general public. The law library, which is the section we're going to be talking about most today, consists of 5 librarians and 1 library assistant. We are open Monday through Friday from 8:30 a.m. till 5 p.m. You can reach us at this number here, 609-278-2640, extension 102, or via email. And while this is a generic email address, reflaw, I assure you that this is continuously monitored by all 5 reference librarians in the department. So don't worry, your question, if you send it via email, will not get lost in the shuffle. We pick them up, and for most questions, we can turn around and answer same day. Sometimes it takes a few extra days. It depends on the type of question that you're asking. But please don't feel funny about sending something to the generic queue. It's the best way to get your question answered. So we will now move on here to what we do. We're here to help you navigate the legal resources available to you. And that's legal resources both here and online that may not necessarily be specific to New Jersey State Library, but we're here to help you. We can help you craft a search of the New Jersey statutes or the New Jersey Administrative Code. If you need to find out what form to fill out for a divorce or for another legal matter, we will help you find the resources so that you can determine which form is the proper form to fill out. In short, we teach you how to fish here. We're trying to help you to learn how to do legal research and to help you to assist you in that legal research. We will walk you through using any of the resources that are available, either in-house or online. We'll help you find the print resource that most likely will contain the information that you need. However, there's often a great deal of confusion when people ask us questions. Please remember, we're librarians, we're reference librarians. And this brings me to one of the most important things, what we do not do. As Andrew mentioned, and this is so important that we will mention it over and over and over again, we do not give legal advice. It's just something that we do not do. Legal advice is not allowed because we are reference librarians. We can help you find resources and information, but you will have to use these resources, read them, and determine if they fit your specific situation. Is it legal? Is it against the law? Is it ethical? Are they allowed to? Which forms do I use? My lawyer's a bum. These kinds of questions all call for a decision or a choice to be made, which is considered legal advice. But don't worry, we will not abandon you. I promise, we really won't. We will help you find the proper resource for your research. That said, when you're doing legal research, whether here at New Jersey State Library or at home, you will be responsible for the actual research and for deciding, is it legal? Is it ethical? Is this the form to use? Most of all, you need to be prepared to read. The law is complex and wordy, and you are going to definitely want to budget some time when you come to the New Jersey State Library to use the law department. For example, many people call us with complaints about their lawyers. One of the most common is, my lawyer's not responding to me, or my fees are too high. New Jersey lawyers are held to very specific rules. So the rules of the court and the rules of professional conduct can both be found on the judiciary's webpage. The rules of professional conduct, which runs approximately 54 pages, is a small subset of the overall rules of the court, which is literally hundreds and hundreds of pages long. When you are researching, is it legal for my lawyer to? Was my lawyer allowed to do this? Is it ethical? You are going to need to read at least the 54 pages of the rules of professional conduct. If they have broken a law, an actual statute law, or one of the New Jersey regulations, any statute or regulation can run anywhere between 1 or 2 paragraphs to dozens and dozens of pages long. And again, you will need to read through all of this information in its entirety in order to make those decisions that you yourself are going to have to make. We will not be able to point to you and say, this rule of professional conduct is the one that applies to your situation. Only you or a lawyer can do that for you. So you're going to need to set aside the time needed to do this reading. Often, your research is simply going to lead to more questions for you, which will in turn lead to more resources, which will lead to more reading. So again, I can't stress enough, your responsibility is to make sure that you have the time to actually do this research. And believe me, we as librarians, it's very difficult for us to put this on you. We want to help you, we want to answer the questions, but it's simply not possible in this case. So again, my point, budget your time. That said, I want to assure you again, you are not abandoned and left to the wilds of the law library on your own. We are there to help you. We will guide you. We'll hold your hand as best as we can. We will teach you how to use anything that's online, any database or anything that you may encounter that you're not familiar with, including microfilm machines or, a book, something as simple as a book. We will help you to find the resource and to guide you on how to use the resource. So you're not alone, but I do have to give all these disclaimers. So let's get started in talking about the meat of our presentation now. We'll talk about laws in New Jersey and the resources to help you figure this stuff out. I'm going to start with the legislature. The statutes, which are also known as chapter laws or session laws, are what most people think of as laws. They are passed by both houses of the legislature, the Senate and the Assembly, and then they're signed by the governor and become statutes. They have become law. These are cited as NJS, and the numeric citation of the law for statutes, if you pull them from the legislature's website, or if you take them from some of the resources that we have here in the state library, they will be cited as NJSA, which stands for New Jersey Statutes Annotated. And that's when you get them from the Westlaw Green Books, for example, or out of a database like Lexis or Westlaw. They will have been annotated. There will be additional information, and that's why you put the extra A in that citation. Just to make things even more confusing, the statutes are also known as session or chapter laws. Laws passed in any particular session of the legislature. Generally, each law passed in the session is given a number in order. So, for example, in the 2016-2017 session, the first law passed was given the number 1, and generally each one goes in sequential order. Every once in a while that will not hold true, and they'll give a specific number to a specific statute that they are passing or law that they're passing, but that is an unusual exception to the rule. So think of them as sequentially numbered. These then are published in one giant book of the called session laws. And because each law is given its own section and is numbered, it appears like a chapter in a book. So therefore you have both the title session law and chapter law. And in each of these instances, all those session laws or all those chapter laws are statutes as well. So it's as clear as mud, I'm sure, for you. Any kind of session or chapter law is cited and discussed based on the year and chapter number. So for example, it'll be cited PL for public law, 2019, comma, C, and a number for the chapter. So 2019, comma, C1 is the first session or chapter law in 2019. Okay. The laws of New Jersey and these statutes can be accessed for free by anyone 24/7, 365 from the New Jersey Legislature's website. When you use this resource, as I said, you don't have to be here at the library. You can be at any computer with internet access, okay? And this is where I send people. If you call me on the phone and we're going to talk about a law, the first thing I'm going to tell you to do is to go out to the New Jersey Legislature's website. And the link is right here on the screen in the center. I love that the legislature's website is NJ-Leg. I don't know why. That makes me laugh. Anyway, so when you go there, you'll pull up the section that says for the statutes, and it's a completely searchable database. You can use keywords, you can use citations, you can use phrases. So it's a very easily used resource. However, it's very difficult to master, okay? The information that you get once you do your search is the full text of the law, and then there's a little breadcrumb trail. You'll see I have it circled here on this statute where it says amended by L 1951 C23. That's Public Law 1951, Chapter 23, which we were just talking about. It gives you the page in that year's session laws and the section that this comes from, okay? That little breadcrumb trail will come into play a lot in your legal research, so it's important that you understand what that is. That is all you get from this website, too. That was the full text and that breadcrumb trail. There's no additional information, no interpretation, there's no way when you look at this to tell, does this relate to other laws or doesn't it? You simply get the text of that specific citation. Now, in addition to using the New Jersey Legislature's website, if that's all there was, then you wouldn't need us, but there's a lot more to it, okay? Information that's available here at the State Library is much more comprehensive. When using what we call the green books, which are published by Westlaw, and we call them green books because they are literally green covers, okay? Or if you use the Lexis or Westlaw databases, you get not only the full text and that breadcrumb trail, you get a great deal more information, okay? As you can see sort of by the picture here on the screen, you get a history of the statute. So that is not only the breadcrumb trail, but there's a little bit more information usually contained in that. If this law relates to regulations in the New Jersey Administrative Code, and I'll talk about that in a few more minutes, there will be a reference to whatever administrative code citation might relate to this. There will be law review and journal commentaries, and this is really, really helpful. If you wanted to read more about what someone is talking about with this law, those law review articles with complete citations here point you in a direction that's a really great way to learn more about this law. The library references section is specific to Westlaw, and it talks about other products of theirs, which we also usually have, that will have additional information on this specific citation. Research references, again, are a number of practice aids that it points you with very good specific information and makes it very easy for the librarians here at the law department to help you to find exactly what you need by using those citations. And then there's a giant section, in this case it's an entire page, sometimes it can be dozens of pages, it depends on the law, that lists the decisions and discusses the decisions made in cases about this law. And that's very, very helpful to you when you get started with case law research. So you get my point is you get much more information when you're using these annotated statutes as opposed to just the basic free statute information available from the legislature's website. And this information is invaluable when you need to go further than simply finding the text of the law. And you will find that when you're doing legal research, rarely is just the text of the law what you need. You're going to need a lot more than that. So this is very helpful. Another really helpful aspect of using the books as opposed to the database is that there is an index for all of the laws and a subject index. And this kind of thing comes into play more often than you might think. For example, there was recently, in the past couple of years, a law passed about texting while driving or using cell phones while driving. And if you were to search the New Jersey statutes database for the phrase cell phone, you would find that you don't get most of those laws don't show up, if any show up. And the reason for that is that they are usually called wireless handheld devices, mobile phones, smartphones. There's a number of names that have been given to cell phones over the years. And that's not how the laws are written. The laws are written in the hopes of being evergreen. So instead of using the word cell phone in the texting while driving law, they instead use something that's, again, called wireless handheld devices. The index helps you with that. The index will help you to see that. As you can see here, under the big red circle, it says cellular phones. They don't even use the word cell phone in the index, but at least if you're flipping through the index and you see the word cellular phones, you understand that. If you're trying to make the database work, you wouldn't know to use the word cellular versus cell. How many of you use the word cellular phone when you talk about your phone? I don't know anyone who uses that. So the index is invaluable. There's no information from the database. It's just the text of the law. There is no nuance. So the index, again, is incredibly helpful. If you were to search the database now for wireless telecommunications, you'll find things. If you were to search the database for cellular phones, you'll find things. And in this case, actually, if you use the word texting, you will find something. But if you were just to use the phrase cell phone, you would not find what you need. And that's why sometimes paper is so much more helpful to finding legal research than the online databases. Okay, one other note for when searching the database, you need to use quotations if you're looking for a phrase. So in other words, the word cell phone, if you were to put that in, would look for every instance of the word cell, C-E-L-L, and every instance of the word phone, P-H-O-N-E. In order to find out if they have the word cell phone, you need to put that phrase in quotations. Likewise, if you have a citation such as NJSA 39:4-99, you need to put the 39:4-99 in quotations as well, or the database will be looking for the number 3, the number 9, the number 4, the number 9, the number 9, and you won't get the results that you need. So again, sometimes using the paper can be a little bit easier when you haven't learned the language of the database and you don't know these little sort of tricks to jump through. In addition to the books of statutes, we have a number of in-depth books on either a specific topic of the law. For example, here you see one of the books here is called the New Jersey Medical Malpractice Law. That entire book is dedicated to that single topic, just as the New Jersey Employment Law or Elder Law. The top one is Condominium and Community Association Laws, and that is a giant book on that. Sometimes we have in-depth books on a specific portion of the law. The example here is 14A, which is the laws for corporations. We have similar books on 18A, which is the education. And so that book specifically deals only with that one topic of the law. We also have books that deal with entire series. The New Jersey Practice series, for example, is incredibly helpful series, and it's by subject, so it'll talk about motions, say, or so it gives information on the actual practical how-to of do things, and this is available again in print here. We have GAN books like the one for corporations, and that's a very well-known legal publisher. And we also have books published by the New Jersey Law Journal. Those are the other books laid out here. These are really great sources for subject specific. For example, we have one that's entirely on personal injury in automotive cases. If you've been in an auto accident and you've been injured, or if you have injured someone in an auto accident, that book is invaluable in understanding what's going on with the legal side of personal injury protection, or PIP, in New Jersey insurance law. The next entire set, so you have statutes that, as I said, were passed by the legislature, both houses, signed by the governor, they become statutes. There's an entirely another layer of New Jersey law, which is administrative law. And these laws are created in conjunction with statutes often. So any statute that gives the commissioner of a government agency the ability to create rules and regulations, those rules and regulations become administrative law. In addition, if the governor signs an executive order which has the force of law, and there needs to be rules and regulations relating to that executive order, they are found in the New Jersey Administrative Code. Okay, the thing that I usually give as an example for this is if the legislators pass a law that says do not pollute the water, then the Environmental Protection Agency comes in and writes the specific laws of what that means to pollute the water in New Jersey, even how water is defined. Is it the ocean? Is it lakes? Is it drinking water? Things like that. So there's a lot more to do not pollute the water than simply do not pollute the water. And that information is generally found in the Administrative Code. I'm going to refer to the Administrative Code as the NJAC often in here. It's interchangeable. Everything's an acronym in the law. So the NJAC was created in late 1969. Every month there are changes to this as regulations come in and out of, they change, they're updated. Again, back in 1969, there would be absolutely no regulations regarding the use of cell phones because they did not exist. Now there will be regulations related to any number of electronic devices or technologies that were not in existence in 1969. So just as with the statutes, which are a living document and can change and be amended at any time, the Administrative Code is updated regularly. We have nearly all of the old Administrative Code here, and for those of you who are writing regulations, that can often be really helpful, so you can see how something was back in time. This is a very common question for us. We're asked, is there a way to find out what, and they give a specific citation, said in, for example, 1989. Absolutely, we can do that for you. We can get that information to you and send it out to you. However, do keep in mind it is slow. The Administrative Code is one of the most difficult and misunderstood sections of New Jersey law. It's difficult to work with. It runs literally thousands of pages. The binders that you see here are all the current Administrative Code. It's thousands and thousands of pages long. The history is also thousands and thousands of pages long. It can take some time. So again, build in time for your research when you're doing legal research. Likewise, if you're writing regulations and it's the first time, you may want to see how someone else has written a regulation that came before you. We can help you find that information as well. Hand in hand with the Administrative Code is the New Jersey Register. And these things both are important resources that you should be aware of. When a commissioner writes rules and regulations, they first have to be published in the New Jersey Register, and then a period of time is given for public comment. In that publication on the New Jersey Register, it will give instructions on when and how specifically people can comment. Sometimes the commenting is in writing, sometimes there will be hearings. It really depends on what the regulation is. And all those instructions will be published along with the proposed regulation. That period of time will pass, the public will have their opportunity to comment, and then when the commission decides what the final law is going to be or the final regulations are going to be, it has to be published again in the register. So for every item that ends up in the Administrative Code, first it's published in the register, there's a period of time that passes, and then the proposed is first published in the register. Then there's a period of time that passes, and then the finalized rule is published again in the New Jersey Register, and it's only after that second publication that it is then added to the administrative code. So again, this is a multi-layered process, and this is what makes dealing with these resources so tricky. You need to be aware of both the New Jersey Register and the New Jersey Administrative Code because they work hand in hand together. The picture here shows you what this will look like when if you go into the administrative code. You'll get a large box at the top with enter search terms, and you get sort of this embedded tree, if you will, of each month it will say, and then in each issue, as you can see here in the July 1st issue, there's rulemaking section, there's executive orders, there's proposals, there's rules that have been adopted, there's public notices, and then there's an index. And again, that's one of the beauties of working with these resources is if they're indexed, it can help you to point to things and utilize them, okay? So I know that that's a lot. There's statutes, there's the administrative code, but the administrative code, first everything shows up in the register at least twice, and then it gets into the code. In addition to the administrative code, which is available entirely, the current one online, and is easy for you to find, all of the New Jersey Register has been digitized. It's either available via the same area, Lexis product, where the code is, or we here at the library have all of the registers in paper going back to 1969, and we have digitized all of them on our website. So there's a number of places that you can look. If you get confused, just give us a call and we'll point you to exactly which one of those items that you need to be taking a look at. Now I'm going to talk about the rules or the laws that come out of the judiciary. The final way that laws are created in New Jersey is via this route, the judiciary. This is when a law is created and or changed due to a court case. Often this is, you'll hear the term precedents used here. This is where case law research comes into play. And while we do not do case law research, like I told you before, because deciding which case to add and which one is considered a legal opinion, we have many, many tools to help you with this type of research. But before we get there, I want to point out a few other important resources that come out of the judiciary. We touched on this briefly before as well. There are the rules of the court. And this is literally this is your roadmap as to what you need to do when dealing with the court systems in New Jersey. And a subset of that is the rules of professional conduct. These are the attorney ethics rules. These are the rules that the Office of Attorney Ethics looks at when they're looking at whether or not an attorney needs to be disciplined or if there is a problem. So those two items are incredibly important. They change over time as well. We have these going back in time so that if a case was being heard in 1992, we can tell you what the rules of the court were in 1992. The rules of the court are exactly what they sound like. They're the rules you must follow while in the New Jersey courts. The rules of professional conduct are the rules that the attorneys must follow. So they have extra rules that they must follow more than we have. The rules of professional conduct are what you need to look at in order to determine if your lawyer has done anything wrong. They are specific, but they're also non-specific at the same time. I'll give you an example. One of the main questions I get all the time from the public is, my attorney is not returning my calls. Is that legal? Can he do that? And as you know, I'll say I can't answer that. However, I'm going to send you the rules of professional conduct. You'll read through them, and when you'll find under Rule 1.3, diligence, and that says a lawyer shall act with reasonable diligence and promptness in representing a client. That doesn't really clarify, my attorney isn't returning my calls, is that okay? And that's what I mean by they're both specific. You have to be reasonably diligent and prompt, and very vague all at the same time. If you're feeling a little confused, that's exactly how you should be feeling at this point. However, there's hope and help. available. As with the statutes, we have books specifically on the rules of the court and or on the rules of professional conduct that include the rules as you would find them on the judiciary website. But again, the beauty of the books is the extra information. They provide a great deal of editorial comment that includes interpretation and analysis of these rules. We have these books going back in time. So again, one of the great resources of the New Jersey State Law Library is that number of these items that we're talking about are not only available for the present, but back in time. The timeline of laws and when something happened, it matters in law. So if you received a ticket in 2018, the law in effect at that time is the law that you will be held accountable for, not what the law is today per se. So hopefully that makes some sense. On each of my slides, I want you to realize too that I have links. They are live links, and you can go out and look at each one of these items. Okay. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about case law research. And you're probably going, Cynthia, this is insane. You said you don't do case law research. We don't do that research for you. We will do research for you on other things that do not call for making a judgment. For example, if you want administrative code back in 1989 and you give me the citation and the specific date, I will do that research for you, but I cannot do case law research for you. However, I can help you, and we have amazing resources to help you with this. Some of the best resources that you can access, we have access to here. So case law research is one of the defining features of our legal system. It is the use of precedents. Again, if you watch any legal television shows, you'll hear that term all the time. And that's the basis of case law research. One of the best places to start is, again, with those green books that we discussed. Notes on decisions will give you specifically citations for cases that dealt with this. So in this case here, you'll see the number 125 NJL 12715A second. All of that actually means something to legal librarians, and that is a citation for a very specific case. And we can pull that up and we can push out to you the information on that case. You can use the green books to find these citations, and then you can move on to our databases. We have two databases that are terrific for this kind of thing. One is called Westlaw, which is published by the same people who published the green books, and one is Lexis, and they are the same people who published the New Jersey Administrative Code. However, they cover both areas. Both databases cover both areas of the law, okay? Once you have that case citation that you've looked at in the books, or you've found, some people come to us with cases that they're interested in or know specifically, perhaps your boss said, I need information on XYZ case. You can come to us with that information. And once you have that, you can go to the databases, place that information in there, and much of the information and analysis of that case and the case law that has been created based on that case can be found in these databases. As I said, there's Lexis and Westlaw. We also have CCH IntelliConnect, which is another database that deals specifically with tax law, is one of the areas there. And so these two are the general resources that we have, but we do have some specifics for some other things as well. I can't stress enough to how powerful these two databases are, Westlaw and Lexis. They allow for easy keyword searching, or you can use citations. Okay, they're simple to use, but the results that they return to you in mere moments used to take hours and hours of paper research to accomplish. One of the limitations of these resources, the electronic resources, is that they are available only in the library, and literally only in the law department of the library. You have to use the public computers set up in the law department to access both West and Lexis and CCH as well. Most of our databases you can access, in any computers in the building, but not in the case of these. That's how specific they are. You must be in the library to do that. Even though we librarians have no access to them in other ways. This is the only way that they are available to us. If you have a citation though, and you know what you're looking for, and you can't make it to the library, you can call us and we'll use the database to pull up this information and easily push it out for you. We simply won't tell you which case that you need to look at when I say we won't do case law research. But if you know what case you need the information on, we can help you and you don't have to come to the library. So I hope that makes sense to everyone, the difference between using the electronic database and the paper. The paper is easier to use, it's easy to flip through, and it's a good starting point, but the electronic versions are going to be where you're going to get the meat of your case law research completed. Okay. One of the things I also want to mention is that there are many things that are available both in paper and digitally. Okay, for example, the statutes we talked about, it's available via the legislature. You don't have to come into the library to get this, or you can come in and you can look at the books that we have. The books that we have provide you with additional information. But if you need to do research when you can't be here, there is a way to do that. The same thing can be said of the administrative code, the New Jersey Register, the rules of the court, and the subset, the rules of professional conduct, which is what talks about attorney ethics. New Jersey Practice Series. We have that series of books here in paper, and they're very powerful. However, we also have access to that series via the Westlaw database. So a number of these resources, if you know them in paper, we have it electronically. If you're more used to using the electronics, we also have paper, and both have their pluses and minuses, and both are worth a chat with the librarian as to which is going to help you follow whatever lead that you have. So as I said, I know that we've covered a great deal here, and that's why I'm pausing to talk about this right now. I also want to talk to you about one other database that is very, very, very powerful. It's called Hein Online. And this is a huge database of law journals and law reviews, okay? It is terrific. These law reviews and journals can cover not only New Jersey, but all the states. There's even international law and reviews and law journals available. And if you know that of an article that you need, you can give us a call. We'll look it up and we can push it out to you straight from Hein. It's super simple for us to do that. And law reviews and law journal articles are a great source of information, again, on cases specific to a topic or statute or state even. And again, if you're going to be doing that case law research, it can be helpful for you to have to see the cases that other professionals are saying relate to this. So it's a great way to start your case law research here as well. Let's see here. Yeah. And as I said, so it's called Hein Online. And one of the great things about Hein Online that it is available remotely to authorized users. So anyone who is a New Jersey State employee who has a New Jersey State Library card, you can access Hein Online, and within Hein there's also statutes, there's old statutes, there's the copies of the Constitution, the session laws are all available for many, many years going back to the 1800s. So Hein is a huge and important tool that I really want to highlight because you can access it from your desk as well. I'm happy to help you. Give me a call. You can pull it up on your computer. I'll pull it up on my computer. We'll talk you through exactly how to use this database, and that it is remotely accessed is just a huge, huge advantage. And it's a great thing for you to use. So again, please don't hesitate to call us even for these remote access resources. We're more than happy to help you out with that. Everything that we send to you from out of the databases will come to you as a PDF. If the PDFs are too large and to be able to be received by your email, which is a fairly common thing with legal research, we have another way of getting that information to you. We can set it up on a secure server. Everything is private. We keep your information, is between you and the reference librarian. What happens in the law library stays in the law library, as they say. So I want you to know that we're here, even if you're not here for you. One thing also to note, when you're looking at our databases, and again, we have a number of databases online. I'm touching on some of the larger ones right now in today's session here. When you look at any one of our databases on our database page, you can look at them in alphabetical order or by subject. I tend to go automatically to the subject of law, and then there will be an alphabetical listing of these. One of the things you'll notice is on-site access, and they all will say yes to on-site access. If you're in the library, you can, whether you're a card holder or you're visiting as a guest and using a guest pass, you can access our databases. Then you'll notice that there is remote access listed. And sometimes remote access will say authorized users, as it does for Hein Online. And then you'll see in the database below that, the Homeland Security Digital Library, that the remote access says state employees. I want everyone who is a state employee to understand that you are also an authorized user. The authorized users also includes the students from Thomas Edison State University. The New Jersey State Library is the Thomas Edison University Library as well. So that is the difference between authorized users and state employees. If you are a member of the public with the library card, it would need to say simply yes next to remote access. And many of our resources do have that. The Legal Information Reference Center that you see at the very bottom of the page, which is a general legal database that's very written for the layman and not really for lawyers. It's a terrific resource if you're looking into things like how to start a business and you want to know the difference between an LLC and an S Corp or things like that. That if you were to see my screenshot doesn't show it, it would say on-site access, yes, remote access, yes. So all you need then is a library card. So for the public, there are a number of databases that are available as well. All right, one of the things that we provide here in the library that we do, and it's unique to this library, is we create what's known as a legislative history. As I've discussed slightly before, laws can be very vague and they use words like reasonable or unreasonable or has reason to or sufficient evidence or, diligence, but these terms, while specific, are also very vague. It can be hard to determine what the intention of the law is, and that's where legislative histories come in. It's also very difficult to understand what was the intent of the legislators back in the 1800s or even the 1950s, if you want to bring it ahead. As time passes, that information can be extremely difficult to find, but it can be very important in the interpretation of laws and the understanding of why laws exist. So to quote Bill Clinton, it depends on what the meaning of the word is. Because of this, we create these legislative histories, which are an attempt to capture all of the information surrounding the passage of any piece of legislation at any given time, okay? We compile these legislative histories for all laws passed in any given year, with the exception of temporary and executed laws and appropriations bills. So any law essentially that gets a citation, we will do a legislative history for. There is a lag. For example, we are finishing up and we just finished up 2016 and we're now working on 2017 because it's important to give enough time for all of the documents to be published and available to us while we compile these. And a legislative history is simply a collection of all the documents that relate to any piece of legislation, any given piece of legislation. These can range from a few items to hundreds and hundreds of pages, depending on the law. The legislative histories are indexed by year and chapter number. Remember, we discussed the session laws and chapter laws. This is how we do these. So for 1950 chapter 1, we will create a legislative history. For 1950 chapter 2, a legislative history. Many of these legislative histories have been published on our website. However, because digitization came along long after this process started, many, many, many legislative histories are available here in the library that are not yet published digitally on our website. Fear not, you do not have to come down to find them. You can give us a call. You can say, I don't see 1972 chapter 243 on your website. Do you have that? We will look. If we have it, we can digitize it and send it out to you. Again, generally same day. Sometimes it may take a little bit longer. If it's 5 of 5, it's going to be the next day. I can guarantee you that. So keep that in mind. But again, they're indexed by year and chapter number. And we're not able to do this via citation. So you're really going to want to know, that's what that breadcrumb trail we talked about before was. If you're unsure of what that is, you can give us a call and we can help you if you give us the citation to tell you what year and chapter numbers apply to that citation. And then you'll have to decide which one of those it is that you're looking for. Again, you always have part of the responsibility when you're dealing with us. I'm going to give you some information and get to help make legislative histories come alive a little bit more, okay? Years ago, a woman called the library to find out, is it legal to let a child under the age of 10 ride on the back of a motorcycle? Her ex-husband had recently purchased a motorcycle and was going to be coming over to pick up her child and take them on his visit via motorcycle. Okay, of course, we can't answer that question, is it legal? But we were able to help. We did the research for this woman to determine if there was any law regarding motorcycle passenger age, and we came up with NJS 39:3-76.5 and NJS 39:3-76.7. These both address motorcycle passengers, but neither had anything in them listing age. And while the statute didn't have anything about age, we decided to pull the legislative history, and we were able to see the intent behind the law. And they circled in red on the slide, you'll see the purpose of this bill is to prohibit a person from operating a motorcycle with a child less than 10 years of age as its passenger. So there you go. You would think that's it, but the law does not have anything to do with age. By looking at the rest of the documents that are part of this legislative history, it showed how the legislation moved from what started out as an age restriction to essentially a height restriction. Currently, the law says a passenger shall ride astride of a motorcycle only if the feet of that passenger rest firmly upon the footrests attached to the motorcycle as required by the subsection B of this section. So it's no longer about age. It is essentially you must be this tall to ride this ride. And considering I barely scraped 5 feet tall and I'm much older than 10, this can be a problem for me. Many of the documents, like I said, can be found on our website. You know, many of these kind of legislative history documents can be found on our website. If you don't find them, you can give us a call. And for state employees, if there's one that you're looking for that has not yet been compiled, we can help you to find the information for those. So do keep that in mind. State employees get some extra services here at the state library. However, if you're a member of the public and we don't have one compiled, we'll explain to you why it's not compiled, and we'll point you to the resources that we would use when we begin to compile that piece of that legislative history for that piece of law. Like I said, there is a lag. We often get questions about laws that were just passed that people hear about in the news, and it's too soon. We cannot compile a legislative history at that point. There, we would inevitably miss some information, and these are again being compiled for the historic record as much as for the immediate use. But we can help you to find all of the information that is currently available and help you to navigate the legislature's website. So I want to talk about one more collection that we have here. These are the appellate court reels. We often get phone calls with people saying, I would like the transcript of XYZ case. And we can and cannot help with that. And let me explain. We have a collection of microfilm reels. And yes, microfilm is, I did say that, think back to third grade, when the librarian took you, and back in that dusty corner of the library, there's a big clunky machine that made loud noises and things. That was a microfilm reader. Well, we still have this here at the library and we use them all the time. This is a collection of documents relating to court cases, but only to cases that have gone up on appeal. These are appellate court reels, not the lower court reels. In order to get any information about a case from the lower court, you must go directly to the lower court to get that information. We can help you to find information on how to contact that court, but we cannot help you find that information. Only they can help you find that information. The machines, as I said, are here at the library. The appellate court reels are also here at the library. What you have to do when you need something like this is you have to call the court clerk at the appellate court or at the Supreme Court and tell them what case you're looking for, and they will give you what's known as a reel number. Then you bring that reel number here to the library, because again, these are on microfilm. This is not only not digitized, it's not in paper. This is not an easy to use format. We'll help you to use it, but you must come to the library to access these. Okay, you bring in that reel number, we'll sit you down at one of those machines, we'll show you how to use it, we'll show you how you can either print pages. We do have a machine here that if you need a number of pages, you can bring a flash drive and you can digitize that, but this takes a great deal of time. Think even longer than what it would take to just sit and read these reels. Okay, this is a slow process, so I want you to keep that in mind. Okay, they do not, as I said, generally contain the transcript of the original trial. I know that TV makes it seem like that's an easy piece of information to find, but it is not at all. And we will help you to, if you call us before you come down and say, I want to see if such and such is on the reel, I'll throw it on the machine and take a look, and I'll tell you whether or not it's on the reel, but you'll have to come here to get that information. These are important pieces and an important collection, but it is by no means complete. They stop at a certain point, and when you call the court clerk's office, if they are newer cases, they are able to deal with this directly. In the age of digitization, this kind of preservation of documentation is no longer necessary, so you will only be dealing with us when it's dependent on the period of time that you'll be doing that. Finally, I want to talk a little bit about federal resources. As I mentioned earlier, we do have federal resources in the New Jersey State Library here, but our bread and butter is New Jersey legal resources. The federal resources that we had are very similar to the ones that we have for the state. We have the statutes, we have the regulations, we have the Federal Register, we have books on the practice, like for example, on tax law is generally at the federal level. We have books specific to the rules of the federal courts as well, just as we have the rules of the New Jersey courts here. And all of these are available and we can help you with them. I thought that we would focus today on New Jersey resources because many of you are New Jersey State employees who are listening to this, and most people who we're dealing with are looking for information on New Jersey legal information, and that is our primary mandate. However, if you need additional information on federal resources, if you have questions about federal resources, I'd be happy to talk to you at another time and in another format for that. This concludes the formal portion of my presentation, and I'm more than happy to take questions at this point. Andrew, do we have any questions already?
All right, it looks like we have one question, and this was back towards the beginning of the presentation.
Okay.
Let's see here.
And please, folks, feel free.
Yep. John asked, would directing a patron to a specific volume of New Jersey practice be considered beyond the scope?
No, because generally, I should say no and yes. and maybe all of these things come into play. If someone says, I am looking for information on a motion to suppress, I will go to the index of New Jersey practice. I will look up that subject topic and pull that volume that's related to that and give them that specific volume of New Jersey practice. That patron will then have to read that volume and determine, yes, that is what I wanted, or no, it isn't. And it's a bit of a dance. We go back and forth with that. But for the most part, we will help you to find which volume comes into play. Whether which court you're in, civil or criminal, can both have the same subject. So we'll do what's known as a reference interview. When we're asking you questions, it's not because we're trying to invade your privacy. We're trying to better understand what it is specifically that you're looking for, so that we are able to then point you to the proper volume that you might need to use. Does that answer that question, John?
Yes.
Terrific, terrific. Does anyone else have any questions? Would you like me to go over something that I went through? I know it goes fairly quickly and it's a lot of information to take in. Just as I said, you're welcome to call us with, any actual legal questions. If you have any questions about resources, we can field them at any given time as well. Here you have the main number for us on extension 102. You can call at any time.
John also asked, what are the years of coverage for the appellate reels?
I don't know them specifically. I will look into that and get back to you, John. I do know that they stop in the early aughts, I believe, is where we stop coverage, and it goes to the courts, but I don't know the exact years. I can get that information for you. We have your contact information, and I'll be happy to get back to you with that.
He said, thanks so much.
Sure, no problem.
All right, if anybody has any other questions, you can submit them using the question feature or the chat box.
While I'm waiting to see if there's any other questions, one of the things I would like to stress is that we are here to help. And while a lot of times when you're dealing with a law library, you're going to hear things like, I can't answer that. I can't tell you that. I can't give you legal advice. And that sometimes makes people a little skittish and thinking that they can't get in touch with us or that it's not going to be helpful. We are librarians and we want to help you. More than anything, we want to help you. I would love it if there were, someone said, is it legal? And I could give you a specific answer, but rarely in the case of law, it's not like math where the answer is 5. There can be any number of answers to any specific question depending on the circumstances. As Bill Clinton said, it depends on what the definition of is in his case. And in many cases, it can hinge on definitions. When you're looking through the statutes, one of the things that you will see, and the regulations as well, numerous definitions of what a term means within that section of the laws, because the language is so important. So please do not be intimidated by what we cannot do, because really what we can do is we can provide you with an enormous amount of help, and we want to provide you with an enormous amount of help.
All right, it looks like we have no more questions, so I think that'll conclude our webinar. Oh, John has another one. A general state library question. Is there a way for members of the public to receive a New Jersey State Library card online?
I believe that the form to fill out in order to get the card is online, but you then have to come in to pick it up. We have to see that you live in New Jersey, and you have to come and pick up the library card. However, John, if you have a public library card, I do want to point out that there is something called Jersey Clicks. If you put in a Google search the word Jersey Clicks, make it one word, That is a series of reference materials available to anyone in New Jersey with a public library card. That includes that database that I discussed, the Legal Reference Information Center there, which is a great way to get started and get some preliminary information, and then give us a call and we can help you to flesh out what your research that you're doing. And it also covers a variety of topics in Jersey Clicks, and it's really powerful, and it's something that many people don't know. Another resource when you can't make it to this library that I like to point out to everyone is that there is a law library at Rutgers Newark, and there is a law library at Rutgers Camden, because they are both and that kind of covers the state between, Newark, Trenton, Camden. You're going to be, fairly reasonably close to at least one of the three of us, because they are a public university. They are mandated to help members of the public. You don't have to go to Rutgers or be affiliated with Rutgers in order to use those libraries, and they have powerful legal resources as well within each of those libraries. So they are also a resource for you.
All right, I think that concludes our webinar. Again, I'd like to thank everybody for attending, as well as Cynthia for presenting. A copy of this will be posted to our tutorials and webinars page, and I will be emailing everybody who registered a link to that. So I hope you all have a wonderful day, and thanks for attending.
Thank you, everyone.